Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Photo Talk Plus, episode 17. We've got an exciting show tonight. We are here with the fabulous Star Rush. We're going to talk about her photography, her great work. We also have a fantastic lineup of panelists. As always, my co-host Lotus Carroll is here. Hey, Lotus.
Hello.
All right. So who do we got with us tonight, Lotus? You want to introduce folks?
I do.
Okay.
Let's start over here with Andrea Acailawen.
Hello.
Hi, and when I introduce you, tell us where we can find you on the web and maybe a little bit about yourself or anything you have going on.
All right. Well, I'm a Florida-based commercial and editorial photographer. I specialize in fashion and beauty, related to life and product work, food and drink, as well as botanical images. I'm also an HSS photographer. I moved to Florida from California 4 years ago. You guys are all a few hours earlier than me right now. I can be found pretty much on most of your social networks under Andrea Acailawen, and on Facebook, it's facebook.com/commercial fashion photographer.
Oh, wow, you caught that one, huh?
Yes, I did. And
Nice.
I also have my own website. It's andreacailawen.com, and another website forthcoming for my joint work with my husband, who's also a photographer, and that's thetivitystudio.com.
Sweet. Well, thanks for being on with us tonight.
But thanks for having me.
Next to Andrea, we have Dan Milnor.
That would be me. Thank you, first of all, for you inviting me to this event. This is my first real Google meetup, so it's pretty exciting and fun to watch the logistics going on in the background. I'm a photographer at large for Blurb Inc. I was a photographer for the last about 20 years, and then at the end of 2010, I decided to stop working as a photographer. And shortly thereafter, I was approached by Blurb about working for them, and that's what I do now. I actually work full-time for them now. And my role with Blurb is primarily a liaison between high-end people in the photography world and the design world and Blurb. So I've, in the past couple of weeks, been at Society of Photographic Education, and then last week I spent all week in a cabana in a hotel in Palm Springs by the pool, which was not bad at the Palm Springs Photo Festival. So
good for you.
That about sums up my life now, and when I'm not working for Blurb, I work on long-term documentary projects.
Wonderful. Dan, where can people find you?
They can find me, the easiest place to find me is that I have a main site called Smog Ranch, S-M-O-G Ranch, and that's my blog and has links to my image site and my other blogs and my archive, and pretty much everything you want to know about me is right there.
Terrific.
Oh, Lotus says she had to go and get her boy, so...
Oh, she did. So I'll continue on. Sam Breach, the wonderful Sam Breach.
Hi, my name is Sam Breach, and I am just a hobbyist. I love photography, and being on Google Plus since it started last summer, I've really gotten into it even more than I was before. And I love finding out about how to do things and how to try new techniques and experiment. I'm actually British. I moved to San Francisco 11 years ago. I'm a 3D artist as a day job. I used to work for Industrial Light and Magic. Now I work for Electronic Arts, and I work on Sims games, and I work on the world building environment team. But definitely photography is my #1 hobby right now, and it's great to be here amongst all these wonderful people and be learning all these things. Thanks.
Great. And Sam, you still look great even without all that color all over you.
Thank you. Well, you see, I've got lots of light on me, right? So
All that colored chalk. So, Sam, where can people find you?
So I'm on Google Plus. You can find me on Flickr as well, Sam Breach. I'm on Twitter as Sickly, and that's about it really. Vimeo. You can also find some of my old time-lapse experiments on Vimeo.
Wonderful. And we have from Google, Petra Cross. Petra?
Hello. Good evening, everyone. So I am a Googler. I'm an amazing wife, and I'm also a photographer, mostly hobbyist. But I've recently done my very first editorial shoot, so I'm very excited about that. And I'm hoping to do more of that in the future. And you can find me on Google+, and you can also find me on petracross.com.
Yes, and a quick little plug for that husband of yours site, Prismatic.
Mm-hmm.
That's been I've been finding all the best photography stories on the web. That was a nice article in the New York Times he had last week.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah. So, and as always, the wonderful Keith Barrett. Keith.
Thank you, Thomas. Hi, I'm Keith Barrett. You can find me at pluskeith.me, and I do live streaming of a lot of Google Hangouts, mostly photography, here on the vidcastnetwork.com, rediscovering my love for photography, and it's a pleasure to be here.
All right, and a future owner of a new Sony, what model?
If I have my way, I'm going to have the Sony NEX7 within a month.
NEX7 within a month.
Yeah.
Okay, you heard it.
Can't resist it.
Okay, so, and do we have Lotus back yet? I can't see her avatar for some reason.
Yes, she's back.
Sorry about that.
Excellent. Lotus, where can people find you, by the way?
At lotuscarol.com and on Google+, obviously.
Excellent. I hear you're on Flickr and some of those other sites too, though.
Yeah, I'm all over the web. If you just search for me anywhere, a ton of stuff will pop up.
She is the web.
Okay, well, let's get into some of these stories because we have some great stories tonight. You know, we didn't think we were going to have much to report on about Google this week, and yet this morning, all of a sudden, we woke up and it's a brand new Google+.
Woo!
What do you guys think? I say this. What do you like it?
I just spent an hour talking about it in the previous show, and the general expectation is everybody likes it. They think it's a cleaner UI. There's a lot of people on Google Plus commenting that they hate all the white space, but a lot of people don't believe that white space is going to change. So it's just mostly getting used to something that's new and different.
How is it possible that photographers can hate white space? That's like the greatest thing.
You know,
I love it.
It seems like it is a win for photographers, isn't it? Bigger photos? I mean, bigger,
Yeah.
better.
Well, yeah, you can hover over it and it expands the. You can share a whole library now, and you can see all the photos in the library. And Hangouts have their own page. It's easy to find Hangouts now. They're all listed.
So I've been using it for a while now because we were dog-footing it internally. I really, really like how they display the previews a lot bigger in the drop-down notification panel on the upper right.
Petra, you've had this the whole time, and you've kept it from us. What's up with that? Actually, you know, I think the bigger photos, the bigger photos are cool. The avatar is a lot bigger now too. You guys notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to redo mine now because it's all grainy.
Oh, is it?
Oh, shame on you for having a grainy avatar, Keith.
Well, it was taken by a photographer friend of mine. He's the husband of Amber Mack, if you may know Amber Mack. Mm-hmm. And so, but it was a blow up from a smaller photo.
Yeah.
So now
It's just style. Keep it.
I think Grainy Avatar is a great name for a band.
yeah.
Grainy avatar.
Keith, might I suggest a red background with a camera in front of your face?
Yeah, you can have it stereotypical. You can't see anything about me. Huh?
There we go.
One thing I noticed which was strange, that on my profile page, underneath my photograph, it said has lived in.
Yeah.
And then it took the first thing from my list, the place that I lived furthest, longest time ago. And it just seems weird. I'd rather have where I currently live listed. And I couldn't find a way to edit that without deleting it.
I did. I fixed that.
How did you do that?
What you have to do is click the pin that's there, and it brings it to the top.
Ah, okay.
Mine says where I live. Mine says
Yeah,
where
she's
I live.
right though. I manipulated it. It says I live at the Vidcast Network now because I created a spot.
Is that kind of true, huh?
Yeah.
You do live at the Vidcast Network, don't you?
It feels like it. I had a hard crash yesterday, and I spent almost 24 hours in the studio trying to resurrect everything. So yeah, it feels like it.
You know, it does feel just a lot cleaner, a lot more visually attractive.
Do you see the taglines? It seems like they disappeared, the taglines.
The taglines are gone. They're on the About page now, right?
Yeah, I miss them.
Yeah. It's the first thing on the top of your About page, so you don't see it if you just go to somebody's profile. The tag is not there anymore.
That's interesting. You're right. I didn't notice that.
The reason why I miss it is because you can only have one sentence about where you work, and it says works at Petra Cross Photography. So I cannot put Google anywhere. I can either change where I work, and then it won't be clear that I'm a photographer. So you cannot put both on the page.
You can do what I did, change the place that you went to school to be the second one, and then they'll both show up.
Well, you know, Petra, if you can put works at Google and then just have a new avatar with a red background and a camera in front of your face, and then you're a photographer.
Okay. Yeah. I have a camera in my hand, so it should be obvious.
Thomas, did you notice that you can get rid of the 5 small photographs and make it one panoramic now?
No.
Oh, can you? I didn't notice that. Where is that? I don't see.
You go look at Dave Veffer's profile. You'll see an example of it.
Ah, he's moved it across.
Edit your profile, and then you just click on that area up there where your photos are. It'll give you the option to change the template.
Interesting.
Thomas, I have a question about your profile picture.
Yes.
Is there a reason why you're hiding your face behind that camera?
I've been curious.
Is there? No, not particularly. You know, I wanted something that said, you know, I've had that profile picture for years and years and years. And I'm not a big fan of changing the profile picture, although I changed it like at Halloween for that little Halloween thing that they did. But in general, you know, I like the camera because I think it tells people that I'm a photographer. You know.
And the second question, what is it in your left hand? It looks like something's hanging, like a string. I can't figure it out.
I don't think so. Oh, that's the strap, camera strap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the camera strap. That's hanging in there. So, yeah, I've just had it for years, and I wanted an avatar that was very recognizable, that had a strong, bold color, and
it's working for you clearly.
Yeah, it's worked over the years, but I'm just not a big fan of changing it. I know some people change theirs every day and every week and all that, but I kind of like it, but. So I do like the bigger avatar, but to me the biggest thing is the bigger pictures. Mm-hmm. I just love those bigger pictures.
I think what's interesting about the change is the initial shock. No matter how good the last version was or how good the current version is, the idea that something changed that we didn't necessarily know was coming, I think that's pretty fascinating. I think that they could probably create a version that was so terrible, but after a given amount of time, we would all completely fall in love with that version. And when they changed it again, we would go through the same thing. So I think what I find intriguing about the whole thing is the conditioning that we have by looking at the same kind of screen over and over and over.
Totally. Yeah.
I find that fascinating. We're all creatures of habit, and I think it would be to put yourself in Google's position to try to change it and make something that appeased everybody.
The fact that no one's like really complaining is a really, really good sign that they did something right.
Yeah,
because you always have somebody complain.
They were complaining this morning.
Yeah, mostly about the white space.
There weren't any specific complaints, so I think it's really what Dan was saying. It's like that.
It's just great about change.
Change kind of thing. Like, I don't like it, it's change, but they don't really not like it.
You know what? Do you know what I like too? What I like is with photos. Not only are the photos bigger, but like with the square crops and the vertical crops, so they have that black background now, it makes them feel bigger. Whereas before, even though they were that size, they felt smaller. Have you guys noticed that?
I think they are also bigger. Especially the vertical ones.
They are bigger.
A few things I saw people specifically complaining about, by the way, Thomas, is that they didn't like that black framing on the portrait-oriented photos.
Oh, really? See, I love it.
I don't like it because I sometimes shoot medium format film, and then I just don't like the way it puts the black bars next to my medium format pictures.
Yeah, I don't like the black bars around the square images either.
You don't either, huh? Interesting.
So they should just use width as the judgment and allow the photo to be as tall as it needs to be to fill the width.
But they didn't really change the way the albums are organized. The tall vertical images still get a lot less real estate than the horizontal ones.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
It is nice when you hover over it and it says more photos from.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
I like that.
That's a really slick thing.
And it used to be underneath. It used to be a link underneath the photo.
Right.
And now it's hidden until you hover.
Little hover over. That's a little snazzy little touch there. I like that. Well, I'm excited about it. I think it's great. It's continuing. Google continues to innovate, which is great. It's always nice to see photos getting bigger and bigger. It seems like photos across the web are getting bigger and bigger everywhere. More and more people are recognizing the value of nice big photographs. That people want to see that, so which is good. It means they'll sell more hard drives. So the next big story this week, has anybody ever heard about this little mobile app? It was only on the iPhone. They just had it for Android. I think it's called Instagram.
What?
I still can't figure out how to use it. I installed it as soon as it became available for Android, and I still don't know how to use it.
Oh, you were one of the 5 million people that installed it.
Yes, I was one of them, but yeah, kind of slow.
Well, $1 billion.
Billion.
$1 billion. $1 billion.
$1 billion.
That sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's really cool? $1 billion. That's really cool. Yeah, that's a lot of money for a company with 10 people in an app.
About 24 hours after the Android version came out, too.
Gee,
Yeah.
was that an accident?
Yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think the Android version, it sounded like the deal happened pretty quickly because they did a venture capital valuation, I guess, a month ago, or they reported at half the valuation, at $500 million. But what do you guys think? Is it a good buy for Facebook? Why did Facebook buy Instagram?
The consensus in the Tech Plus show was that they bought it to keep it away from Google. Seriously.
Hey, why not?
I'm excited about the editing those different filters that you can apply. And if I can use that on Facebook, that would be great.
Well, I was interviewed on Tech Geek Wire this week about it, and a lot of us Instagrammers are exiting in large and immediate response to it. I think a lot of people are feeling antsy about Instagram being integrated into the Facebook monolith.
Yeah, I did see on Zenny Jardin is one person that I follow, and I did see on her Instagram it was kind of like, bye Instagram, nice knowing you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There were a lot of those posts I noticed. People were saying leaving.
Are these just people who don't like Facebook, or are they worried about other issues like privacy, or what are they worried about?
People that don't like, photographers don't like a lot of Facebook's policies on photos.
Mm-hmm.
But some folks are, it's because it's the small, organic elements of Instagram and what's...
The hippiness and the coolness.
The
hipsterishness.
Yeah, the cool factor. And also who owns your photographs.
Yeah, I think that's the key that
going to move over to IG's policy, or how's that going to work?
That's what I hear the most, is that people are worried about Facebook's usage policy, where whatever you post on there they own and can use. So, but I think the same thing happened when originally their usage rules came out in public, and a lot of photographers claimed that they were going to take, basically delete their Facebook account. But the percentages of people that did was very, very small, and I have a feeling the same thing's going to happen with Instagram. You get a lot of people talking about deleting their account, but I'm very curious to see how long that lasts.
Yeah. Not everybody on Instagram is a photographer. That's an image. It's an image-centric social community. It's got a lot of uses. Some people use it like a portfolio image sharing space, and some an image replacement for Twitter. So not everybody's going to respond the same way.
Yeah, it is interesting. Remember that day when everybody was supposed to quit Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
That one day, it's like nothing happened.
I heard that Instagram was really, really popular with the youth, like the teens, and that a lot of them were, I don't know where I read it, but someone was annoyed because, it was being bought by those old people, that old, full of old people, Facebook, which is kind of amusing to me, but...
Right, Zuckerberg's an old dude now, huh?
Yeah.
Well, remember when all us old people got on Facebook and ruined it for the teens, too?
Yeah.
It was really funny because I did a post on Path. I said, welcome to Android, Instagram. And I got like, yays. And I said, welcome to Facebook the next day. I went, boo.
Why is it that Facebook is becoming uncool? Why is it?
Well, they have a bad history of screwing around with the terms of service and changing their GUI and their personal experience without any good forethought. So they alienated a lot of people because by the time you get used to one, it got yanked out from under you, and you have another one now. So I think there's a lot of fear. I mean, Facebook in the past has mostly bought things to assimilate the staff or to get rid of the service. They haven't done a good job of integrating. I mean, Skype didn't go anywhere. So Facebook saying that they're going to leave this alone is a good thing. But unless they bought it just to keep it out of Google's hands, because there was some statements made that Google was trying for it as well. Who knows what they're going to do with this right now? I think there's fear there.
I think that's a really good point. I think fear. Anytime you're talking about a company as powerful as Facebook, it's hard to use that word in the same sentence. But I think when you consider that however long ago it was, a week that they were evaluated at 500 million, and they basically bought it for $1 billion, it almost seems to me like there was definitely a play involved to keep it from someone else, or they were just simply worried about the power of how powerful Instagram had become in such a short period of time. I mean, that many viewers in that amount of time is remarkable.
Do you guys think that Facebook is going to make Instagram even more popular, or do you think it's going to not be good for Instagram?
It's a mobile-only app.
It's more, yeah. That's what I think they bought it for two reasons. One, it's a easy, simple, and effective mobile app. It's only on the phone. And the second is it's a power move to show that you can pop over $1 billion and buy something.
And who said it has to be on the phone forever? Maybe they will.
That's the hip factor of it, though. They're buying a youth-oriented relationship to social media that's image-centric, that's not computer-based. We don't turn to another appliance. It's all phone-based.
But they would like to make it consistent. The usage will be, I mean, editing pictures directly in Facebook versus on the phone should be consistent. So maybe they will do some features that look very much like that on their web app.
But I think that's what mobile photography is about. Is that that's what I do? Is all on the phone, 100%, and it's never turned to another appliance until you decide you might want to print it, and that a lot of people don't. But it's a different generation, and that generation's relationship to images and handheld devices. That's a subtext of what's being bought underneath. There's a growing population of people who have a certain relationship to their handheld device that's paradigmically different than what's been going on now. And I think Facebook wants a piece of that.
What do you think would have been the reaction if Google made that announcement instead of Facebook?
More positive.
Yeah. You know, Vivian Goots was in the chat room, and she makes a good point that it's now the #1 application since the buy. Instagram's now #1. You know, I think Facebook took a look at this. If you think about Facebook as a company, I think there are two things to consider. One is Facebook, a big part of their success is photos. I mean, I wonder if Facebook would even be where they are without photos. I mean, starting out with college students. I mean, everybody went there to see the photos. They went there to see the photos of their friends and of the parties and of the, you know, the hot women and the hot guys and the, you know, at the parties and who's going where. And photos have seemed very centric, but if you think about Facebook's model, Facebook was successful, but then once they jumped out of the sort of microcosm of college students only, I mean, that's when they really exploded. And if you look at Instagram, they were sort of this little iPhone app only, confined to the iPhone. And maybe they sort of showed their power when they, you know, had so many downloads on Android right away. And like Facebook making its move from college students to the general public, they were showing that they were making their move from this little iPhone app to something much bigger and were widely accepted. I mean, enormous success. I mean, 5 million downloads in 6 days.
So do you think they bought it because of the photos or because of the users? They want to get the user base, or do they want the technology, or both?
I think it was a combination of a lot of things. I don't think it was just the technology, because anybody can kind of make that technology. Although I think there are some very really good things about the technology. Double tapping to fave something, a heart, that's brilliant, because you want to lubricate social interaction with an app. And that does that. It makes it possible and easier for someone to fave 5 times as many photos as they might fave on Facebook's app or on Google Plus or in other places where it's you got to move the mouse and you got to go someplace or you got to open a menu and click something. So just that quick tap, 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 tap. So they had some of that stuff was, I think, the technology was very good. But I think really, from Facebook's standpoint, here you've got now photos, which are really important. You do get the user base, a substantial user base, 30 million people, but of those 30 million people, most of them, I'd say probably 98% of them already had Facebook accounts, right? So they're not getting new users. But I think they will expand it too, though, because now Facebook can use the weight of Facebook to promote Instagram to all of their users. And they can push it. They can make bigger Instagram pictures in the feed than other sites. They can do.
Yeah. I think for me it's all about. I mean, I think the number of users is great, but I think you're right about many of those people already have Facebook accounts. But I think the whole thing for me, I think there's a small percentage that there's an idea of using that photography. If Facebook doesn't change their usage rights, then they can basically use those images for a lot of things. But I think that's still minor. I think the whole thing boils down to them just wanting to make sure that that technology is theirs. Mm-hmm. And 2, it's all about information. What other kinds of information about us, Instagram users, can they mine from that then becomes profitable to the big companies that are basically, paying Facebook a lot of money to mine that information. And that to me there's something behind the scenes there that they saw that is very profitable.
Do you think Instagram is going to continue to be a separate app, or is it going to be baked into the Facebook mobile app?
I think for the short term it'll be a separate app, but I think I think over time, I think Dan's right to a certain extent. Like geolocation data with Instagram. Now you have all that data. That's valuable data for Facebook. But I think they will take some of it. I would think they should take some of it, Petra, like you say, like some of the filtering and stuff like that, and move it into the Facebook mobile app and the Facebook, not just the mobile app, the web as well. Let people throw those fancy filters on their web photos. I think there's a lot they can do with it, and Facebook's valuation is so high that, $1 billion is a lot, but when you're a $95 billion company, it's not that much.
So I have a question actually about the terms of service of Facebook, because I stopped posting my photos directly to Facebook, but sometimes I still want to share something, like my family are on Facebook, and they live abroad, so I want to share my photos with them. So usually then I would put them on Flickr and then post them to Facebook that way. In that respect, Facebook can't use the photographs in the same way as if I directly posted them. Am I correct in thinking that?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I've just always kind of assumed that with most of these user agreements, and maybe I'm not as cynical as I should be, but I don't think Facebook really has a big desire to steal our photos. I think they just have overzealous lawyers that write up terms of service agreements that cover them for any lawsuit. Maybe I'm wrong, but
or they use templates.
Yeah, they're big enough that it's beyond that. It's thought out why they do it. I think, I think basically they're avoiding lawsuits, but they can make so much more money as a social networking company. Even Getty Images, the biggest stock agency in the world, the valuation of that company is a drop in the bucket compared to Facebook. So I don't really see them stealing the photos, whatever the user agreement says. It makes some people uncomfortable, but I think Facebook also saw Google Plus. One area where they did have success was with photographers.
Yeah.
Google Plus has been enormously successful, and Facebook's been kind of behind the ball on photography. Before Google Plus, think about how much photography sucked at Facebook. There were tiny little thumbnail, postage stamp size photos, tiny little ones. And what did they do as soon as Google Plus came out? They made these They started making their photos bigger. Now they have a full-page photo. You can go to Facebook and see the entire screen of a photo. They didn't do that before. So I think some of that is maybe they want to, they realize that photography is important and big.
I like to joke that Google Plus is the best thing that ever happened to Facebook because they changed them in a lot of ways.
It is. Competition is good, right?
A lot of the mobile photo apps have instant distribution to Facebook, and that was probably over the last year. And when Instagram had that ability, that's an important detail. That you post once, and Instagram sends your photo to Flickr, Facebook, all your sharing sites at once. And when Facebook improved the size of the images, that made it a much more appealing thing to do.
Did you notice that they do not let you post to Google Plus from Instagram, at least in the Android app?
Nothing can from anywhere.
Yeah, you can't on iPhone either.
Yeah, you can, though, go to your photos from your posts on Google Plus and post those to Instagram from there.
Yeah.
You just can't go the other way around. You can't.
I post pictures from my camera straight to Google Plus, but I use the native camera app that comes with the operating system.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I would suspect that they wouldn't want to make it as easy as at all to get your photos on Google with Instagram. I mean, if anything, they want to make it, maybe pay lip service to it, but really, I mean, they want the connection to be with Facebook.
Right.
So, big news. And with that news story, we're going to take a quick moment here and recognize one of our two sponsors. I'm excited about both of our sponsors, and Dan, we're going to talk with you a little bit about our second sponsor in a little bit. But first I want to recognize SmugMug, the wonderful, wonderful folks at SmugMug. Anybody using Camera Awesome?
Me.
All right, Lotus, that's SmugMug. It is an iPhone.
I started.
Yeah?
When I was in Utah, Brian, he was using it, and it was great, so I got a copy.
You like it?
Yep.
Yep.
I need to download all the extra ones first, but yeah.
It's wonderful. You know, they have a new program where now you can buy all of the filters for, what is it, like $10?
$9.99, baby.
Ooh.
I was actually trying to find that, but I haven't found it yet. Because when I looked it up on the apps, it just said free, and I couldn't find the paid-for version.
But SmugMug is more than just Camera Awesome. It's awesome as that is. They're doing all kinds of great things. They're a wonderful place for photographers to sell your photographs. If you want to sell them, you can post them there. They have an integrated store. They pay photographers 85% of the markup, which is wonderful. Most places keep a lot more than that. So it's a great place if you're looking to sell some photos. It's a very beautiful gallery. It integrates very nicely with your blog or your website. I know I've got my photo store. It's on my site. People don't even realize they're leaving my blog. They click buy photos. It looks just like my own site, but SmugMug runs it all underneath. So we do love the good folks at SmugMug. We are going to give away a SmugMug Pro account later on tonight in the chat room, as well as a blurb book to one lucky winner. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about blurb here in a second, but stay tuned in the chat room because one of you that answers the correct trivia question first tonight will win a year of SmugMug Pro and a very nice blurb book, a nice, expensive, higher-end blurb book. So with that, we did want to go on to our next story. Did you guys see this post by Colby Brown?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Very fun.
10 things you should never say to a photographer. Number 10, your camera takes really nice pictures. Number 9, can't you just Photoshop that? Number 8, I wanted to invite you to birthday party, wedding, or other important event. You should bring your camera. Why is the background all blurry like that? Can you make it black and white but leave our eyes in color?
Really?
Red.
Jeez, you charge that much? We only have to pay $19.99 for our sitting at Sears. I'll just print them at Walmart. Gosh, your day job must be so easy. You just click a button all day. What's the discount if I edit the pictures myself? There's this great program called Picnic. Can you take your watermark off the photos you posted to Facebook? My mom wants to print them. So that got over 2,000 plus ones, 2,221 plus ones.
You think it hit a nerve at all?
I got one of these questions last week, actually. I got one of these questions.
Did you? Which one?
I was invited to a wedding, and I was kind of suspecting they want me to shoot it as well. So I asked, am I coming as a guest or a photographer? And they said both. I'm like,
nice.
That's not going to happen.
Oh, and here I thought the question was going to be about the black and white and the color eyes. Yeah, those are pretty interesting. I mean, particularly a lot of them I think relate to working photographers, with the wanting to print it at Walmart and get the pictures for free and really not recognizing the value of the work that photographers do. But it certainly did hit a nerve. I mean, over 2,000 plus ones. It was the top plus anything related to photography this last week. 466 comments.
Who compiled the list? Was it Colby Brown, or did he get this somewhere?
That's a good question. I don't know. There's no sort of attribution, so I assume it was him.
It's his humor.
Right. Or maybe he just stole it from the web somewhere.
Let's see what license it's under.
Yeah.
Let's call him out.
Let's do a Google image search, do a reverse Google image search, and see if we can find out who the real author is.
Was it watermarked?
Right, exactly. No, I assume it was Colby, but it was a thoughtful list and certainly one which hit a nerve. So I thought that was an interesting story.
I actually noticed on one of Doug Kay's beautiful pictures he took of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Somebody left exactly that comment on him. He'd done an amazing picture in color. Somebody wrote, "This is very good, but you should make it black and white and just do one part in color."
Well, I know the one question about seeing things, it's out of focus. I get grief all the time. People don't like the fact that my photos aren't always in focus.
So the one I get is you can just fix that in post, right?
Yeah, just fix it in post. We don't have to make sure anything looks good when I take a picture.
That's a common video question too.
Oh, that's fun.
I think we've had you fix a few videos and posted in the past, haven't we?
Yeah, we've had, especially the more rocky the hangout, the more likely it needs editing of some sort.
From now on, I'm not going to do my hair or anything for the show. You can just fix it in post.
Oh.
I'd kind of like maybe Mount Kilimanjaro in the background, if you can do that.
Yeah. Make it look like we're somewhere interesting.
I have a girlfriend who wants me to fix her face in every single picture I take of her. And I just went to her baby shower, and she's in every single picture. And I'm like, no. I'll give you the pictures. You can edit every single one.
Now, when you say she wants you to fix her face, what does she want you to do?
She doesn't like the circles from under her eyes. And, yeah, she's one of those people who always takes your camera as soon as you take a picture, and they say, "Can I see?" And then you can see their finger moving onto the delete button. She's one of those people.
Nice.
And she deleted things in the past, so I don't get her near my camera. I don't allow her to get close.
Right. Well, we had some very good pictures this week, and I'm going to try to share them, but I'm having a hard time loading the web. So let's try this. Can you guys see my screen?
I could for a minute, and then now it's just white.
No, it's just white.
Here we go.
Now?
Here we go.
Yay.
You can see this. Tom Anderson, the wonderful Tom Anderson.
That MySpace Tom has become quite the photographer.
Hasn't he? He's grown up from our own little budding novice, when he first started out to this. I mean, his photos get more +1s on Google Plus than anybody.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Wow.
So he's been over in China, I guess, taking various pictures. Let's see. Here's another one. Look at this thing.
This is my favorite.
That's nice.
Isn't that good? No.
I want to know if it's really that blue. How much color change he did.
They're pretty. These are wonderful photographs. So these photographs are some of the highest +1 photographs of the week. Let's see if this one will load. Another one of Tom's. So these are 3 of Tom's. Beautiful landscapes.
So in all of the highest plussed photos from the past week, 3 of them were his.
That's right. 3 of them are his. We had some other folks that had one. Of course, as good as Tom is, it's hard for him to compete with Ron Guerin shooting from outer space. So this is a photo Ron took of the Middle East.
Now, how did he get there?
Good question. Well,
Wow.
Well,
This guy's astronaut.
That would have been way
Ron
better on Instagram.
You think so?
With the sepia filter?
Ron's one of our bragging rights. We had him on the show.
Yeah.
We did. We had Ron on the show. And I'm trying to load these other ones in the background so that they load while we...
Was he in a spaceship when he was on the show, or...?
That would have been super awesome, but he was already back.
Oh.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
But when he started using Google Plus was when he was in space.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ron was, I think, what was he, like our 2nd or 3rd show?
It was second show.
2nd show.
Yeah, because we had the Darby on as our first guest.
That's
How fast
right.
is the internet on the ship? Maybe we can get someone.
It's slow. It's slow.
Hmm.
So, unfortunately. We had the wonderful Trey Radcliffe, as always. Imagine that. Trey gets a photo with a lot of +1s.
When does that happen?
I
That's
know.
pretty.
Wonderful. Look at that. From I guess he was on that ship. Was it a Disney cruise?
It's the Disney cruise, yeah. A
Disney
boat I
cruise,
haven't
right.
seen. Yeah.
Right now, Keith, did Disney pay him to take these pictures?
No. He does it himself.
No, I'm kidding. They should, though. Those are good photos. It makes people want to go on that cruise.
Well, they're very happy when he shares them.
Yeah.
I bet the cruise is not as peaceful as this picture is. With all the
Marina
kids around.
Patel.
Well, he had his whole family and kids with him, so that may not have been true.
Yeah. Look at that. A lot of people take this photo of Horseshoe Bend. Is that what it's called? Here, but this one, look at that sun she got there.
Yeah, that's a nice burst.
Where it reflects on the water. Beautiful. Beautiful. A couple
I'm
more
pretty
I was going to
excited because Marina is doing a course this weekend in the Bay Area, and I'll be going to that. So
Oh, is that right?
yeah, and Colby's going to be there, and his wife. Marina
These were a bunch of photos from Ella Locardi of Italy. Beautiful photographs of Italy.
Where did Star go? I didn't see her.
Yeah, she dropped out, so we're hoping she'll come back in.
Yeah, we need her back in because we're about to start interviewing
We're about to
her.
interview her.
And then one more picture I would share was, and this was actually one of my favorite ones of the week.
I was standing like so close to Karen when she took this photo.
Were
Where
you?
is that?
Yeah, okay, so we went out. This is where you lost your wallet, Sam.
Yes, this is where I lost my wallet.
And so when we went up on the mountain, and when we came back down, and Nate's car was stuck at the top while we were all waiting for Scott to go back and get him, Karen and I said, let's go out and shoot long exposures. And nobody else wanted to do it, so we walked out in the dark together and did it, and look what she got. Look what
But
she
where
got
is
for
it?
a walk out in the dark.
Is it in Bay Area?
It's totally worth it. No, this was out in Utah.
Utah.
Wow, that's Utah?
Lake Utah, correct, yes.
And isn't that
So-
beautiful?
It's a place called Lincoln Beach. There's really nothing there.
Sam knows it well in the dark. You lost your wallet
I've been
there.
there twice.
We were all like, we had all left, and she had to go back in the dark and find her wallet.
Like 40 minutes drive in the dark.
Did you find it?
The wallet was there, so it was good.
That's a
Yeah.
great score. You find your wallet in the dark.
Yeah.
In the
Way far
sand
away.
on
Now-
the beach?
Fred's moaning right here on my left because he missed the dinner because we had to go back and get my wallet. The final dinner.
Ah.
Oh.
Right, and I see John Armstrong's in the chat room as well, who was on that trip too. I don't know if he was with you guys when you lost the wallet or not, but.
Oh, I don't think he was.
No.
He was not with us.
So, I'm glad we have Star back.
Yes.
Yay.
Uh-oh.
Do you not have her back?
Her mouth is moving, but I can't hear anything.
Star, are you talking?
Are you muted?
Button on?
Uh-oh. Are you muted, Star? You may have to come back in. We can't hear her.
Okay,
she's going to
leave and come back.
Well, while we're waiting for her, it's a very good time to talk about the new sponsor that we love so much. Right, Lotus?
Yes, I'm totally...
Blurb. Blurb. We love Blurb. Dan, you work for one of the greatest companies in the world. Blurb, for those folks that are not using Blurb, have not had a Blurb book yet, they're amazing books. They do a wonderful job. And one of the things I wanted to show, in fact, I better stop sharing my screen, though, so I can show this.
Oh, yeah.
Screen share turned off. Okay, I'm back on. Did anybody happen to see the San Francisco Chronicle today? Front page.
Look at that.
That is a Blurb book.
Move it down a little. Okay, that's good.
On the front page.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now. On the front page of the San Francisco Chronicle, look at that. There's our lovely Ivan Makarov, with the Google Plus One collection.
Mm.
It was on the front page of the date book. Here you open up inside, you see some more. Look at that.
That's it.
That's a wonderful Blurb book, a beautiful book that's selling like hotcakes. And Yvonne sent us out an email this morning, and he's like, I was trying to figure out why sales of the book shot up today. And then I realized I had heard that it was on the front page of the San Francisco Chronicle date book, on the print edition and everything. So they mentioned some of the photographers in there, which was nice. But a wonderful story. And Blurb, they did such a good job on that book. I've had several Blurb books that I've purchased now. And I think it's just a wonderful new era of self-publishing, where people can go out and they can publish books. And
do you guys make books that can open flat?
There are, as of right now, there are no lay flat books. There's all kinds of things that we have coming in the future, which I will leave as mysteries. But there's a variety of different books. I just made my 135th different book with Blurb, which looks like this.
Awesome.
The book that's this format, but I laid it out in horizontal form. So it's a pretty interesting tool. I've been using them. I mean, I've been making books since the early 90s, and the print-on-demand revolution really changed everything for me, because it suddenly gave me a way to kind of go full circle with work and also deal directly with clients. It's been a pretty interesting ride since that time.
What types of books do your customers usually order? Is it mostly family pictures, or is it mostly products, or what?
You know, I basically, from about 2007 on, every single type of client I had, from portraiture to commercial to editorial, the minute they found out I could finish a job with the book, they all wanted the book. So it's and it really depends. The limitations on the system, I find, and I just had this conversation with a photographer today, I think the limitations on it are us and how we've been trained to believe what a book is and how to use it and how to sell it. You can really do anything you want, and the surprise books, for example, my most successful book, what I consider to be my most successful book, has 11 pictures total and is 20 pages. And it's sold at Photo Eye in Santa Fe, and it's in the Indie Photo Book Archive. So there's a lot of things you can do with a real mixture of books.
Is it in the bookstore tab? Can we check it out?
It is. It's a book called On Approach.
On Approach?
Yep. For me as a photographer, I think that the ability to make a book was the single most important aspect of the digital revolution. I loved the cameras, I loved the software, I loved the computer, but I was always frustrated because the projects that I wanted to work on were not necessarily commercial projects, and I didn't really have a home for them. There were projects I took to traditional publishers, but I suddenly had a home for any harebrained idea that I could come up with. I had a home for it, and it's been a great marriage ever since then.
Wonderful.
It's, you know, the quality of the books is one thing I've been so impressed with. I mean, these are amazing quality, especially
It's
these
a massive book.
large format. And these photographs look so much better when they're printed out big like this. You know, I mean, look at some of these photographs. I mean, see what I opened to. I mean, big, bold, beautiful prints.
Helen's.
There's Helen's.
Yeah.
But I think everything looks so much better printed. I would encourage all photographers, if you haven't made a book, do it. And you know what I'll say? I was at the DeYoung Museum for a special event that Adobe put on. It was a special, Arthur Tress has got a show. I think it's still up there right now.
Yeah, it's still up.
And it's a wonderful show of stuff from the 60s, a lot of stuff in San Francisco from the 60s. And, I mean, here is a world-class photographer who's got an entire exhibit himself at the DeYoung Museum, you know, the premier San Francisco fine art institution. And I'm talking with him, and where is he selling his books that he's made? Blurb.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, as a photographer, what making a book does, I think maybe the most helpful aspect of the whole process is it forces you to edit your work. And you really have to edit, and you learn the power of a good edit and a bad edit. You also learn the power of sequencing your imagery. And believe me, I've made plenty of books that are not good. And they were books that I thought were good until I actually got them. And then I realized that my editing wasn't good or my sequencing wasn't good. And it's addictive. Once you start making these, it's really hard to stop.
It's really easy to just leave your pictures on the hard drive and forget about them and just have like one day plan to do it. But that day will never come. So you should just put it in the book, put it on a coffee table, or give it to someone and let people enjoy it, you know?
I think another thing, that's a great point. It reminds me that the latest version of Lightroom 4 has a book module built in, and the book module in Lightroom 4, for anybody that's using the program, has a direct link to Blurb. And I know for me, when I have that feature, it ties back to exactly what you're talking about. It's almost a sense of relief that when I pull images into Lightroom, I can very quickly just lay out a very basic book and have it printed. And again, it's nice to be able to just flip through something concrete and see how those images look on paper.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, a lot of people are using Lightroom 4. It's easier than ever to make a book. They look so good printed, and you know, I would encourage people to make a high-end one, make a more expensive one. You know, even if it's just for you. You know, that's the nice thing with Blurb. I mean, you don't have to sell 1 million copies of a book. You can have a very highly professional book done. But I think some of these, you know, they're very high-quality books. I mean, all levels of books, but I think are just look so nice and such a great way to show off your work. Even just to your friends and family.
I have a question for Daniel. So you said just now, Daniel, that you made a lot of bad books. So if I was to go to Blurb, would there be tips to show me how to make a good book from the outset? Because I don't want to invest in making bad books to begin with.
Well, absolutely. The Blurb site has a lot of information to help you. And when I said I made bad books, I don't mean that I made books that had, you know, bad color. The reason the books weren't good were just based on the fact that, you know, it's basic book design, it's editing, it's sequencing. And when I started making books with Blurb back in 2006, my knowledge of what an illustrated book looked like was very limited. So today, if you fast forward 6 years later, I know a lot more about illustrated books than I did back then. So the design, the basic design of my books has changed a lot. Plus the editing and sequencing and things like choosing the size of book and how many pages need to be in there. I really didn't have any training because my training was all in photography. And so suddenly, after 6 years of sitting and studying book design and spending time with book designers, the books now are completely different. But the Blurb site will be really good at getting you up to speed in terms of how to prep your files, how to get good black and white, things like that, so you don't make technical mistakes. The only mistakes that I continue to make are basically self-inflicted wounds.
Although it sounds like Dan's had quite an experience and now is an expert book publisher. So anybody that needs a blurb book published, Dan will do it for you personally. For everyone watching tonight.
I have plenty of time.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. But thanks to Blurb, Dan. We're so glad to have you guys on board with the show, and I've been such a fan of the product for so long, and it's such a great fit. So.
Well, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Love to have you guys, and we can highly and heartily endorse this wonderful, great product. So
it should be everyone's New Year's resolution to make a book by the end of the year.
I think that's
It's been my New Year's resolution for 5 years, and I've never done it.
I made one this summer. It was with Blurb, and it was a very good personal experience to try to get images to live outside their single frames. Get them to talk to one another. It took 2 days, and it was really worth it. Turned out great.
It is worth it, and I'm happy with all the publicity this +1 collection book has been getting. I mean, the Chronicle, the San Francisco Chronicle article today was wonderful, but you know, it's been in Forbes, it's been on CNN, it's been on all over the place.
There was a lot of buzz about that very quickly.
Yeah, it's been on TV. What was the TV broadcast? I think I put that in my stream, but and especially congratulations to Yvonne, who put so much work into that as sort of the.
He's worked his butt off.
He has, and to Lotus, who helped vote on a lot of those images.
That was fun, though.
Right, Lotus? It was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was fun, curating it, yeah.
Yes. So.
And Yvonne is, I read today that Yvonne is trying to set up a magazine now a couple of times a day.
He is, yes. The Magazine Next.
Stream and more ideas about themes.
Yeah, he's going to do a magazine, so we're going to work on that. And he's created. And the nice thing about this this Blurb book is that it goes for charity as well, for Kiva, which is up there in the corner. And part of what Yvonne's done is he set up this new foundation, Photography for Good. And Lotus and I are both on the board of directors of that as well. So we're working with him to do some stuff. So with that, let's get into Star Rush. What do you say, Star?
Ready for us to get into you, Star?
Yeah.
Ready to be grilled?
Ready to be good. Who's got the first question? Who's got the first question?
I.
Petra, why doesn't that surprise me? Let's hear it.
I'm curious by nature, that's how I am. So yes. I'm wondering, have you done SLR photography before?
No. I either take film or use my iPhone. But I just bought a new camera, a new little Ryko GXR, so I'm learning how.
Okay.
Do you find that people are surprised about that?
No. No? No one's actually said it. Doesn't mean that they, to me, doesn't mean that they don't think it, but no.
So the majority of what you're sharing is...
I'm on a project, yeah, it's, I use my iPhone 3GS, so it's 100% mobile photography, and most of the time it's in black and white. And
why do you take pictures in general?
To tell stories. They're fine. It's I'm interested in the fine arts photography and a way to tell stories with visual images, and then I also write. So I started combining them on my blog, writing and images in the same context, which has been really interesting.
How do you approach people? Do you ask them before you take their picture, or do you smile at them?
No. When I take pictures of people, most of the time they're candid and they're street photography. So I don't talk to people in advance and have them pose. I'm just catching the context, people in their context and the environment.
Do you think people are more approachable or easier to photograph simply because you're on an iPhone and you're not lugging around a bunch of gear?
When I have photographed people who I do approach, which I do sometimes, it's less intimidating for some reason, or there's a different relationship because the phone doesn't look like a camera. It has a very decidedly different look, and people tend to have a different response. Maybe it's a guard is dropped, or we're still talking, we still see each other's faces during the whole exchange, but it's a little bit different, and they're more willing to do it. But most of the time, what I'm interested in is the candid capture.
What kind of camera bag do you have? Just kidding.
I don't have one right now.
Yeah.
I wanted to see some nice purse, something fancy.
No, because I have my phone. I just pop it in my pocket and off I go.
I was going to say, it's her back pocket, and she has a pretty little decal on it.
I have a white in-case case for it. I don't have anything. No, there's all these fancy holders, cases, all kinds of peripherals. It's just a plain white camera.
I'm so jealous. You don't need to carry a tripod and stuff. It's really easy.
It's just, it's always with me. That's how I got started, is that I had a camera. I used to carry my, I like Olympus rangefinders. That's my little pet project, my hobby. And but they'd have to be special outings, and I'd carry my camera with me, but I don't anymore because I always have my phone with me.
So, Star, I had a question. Go ahead.
Sorry, have you had any gallery exhibitions, or is everything online right now?
No, I have. I'm a member of our artist collective that has an old-fashioned brick-and-mortar gallery here in Seattle called Idea Odyssey Gallery. And the last gallery show here in Seattle was in October. And I've had photographs shown in London and Rome, and that's a neat thing about mobile photography, is that it's all over the place. But what's interesting is it eventually all ends up printed. People want to see these things printed, and they want to see them up on walls and have a spatial relationship to imagery. It's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it's something different to see people seeing your photographs in person. There's a different phenomena that happens, you know.
I was surprised to see that your photos do not look like Instagram photos, because you do mostly black and white.
Yeah, I don't use Instagram filters. I am on Instagram, but I use it as a distribution and a community. I only use about 4 apps. Not the native camera. I use Pro Camera right now, and a film emulation app called Film Lab, and PhotoFX. That's about it.
Oh.
So who were some of your photo inspiration from other photographers that were inspiring to you? And were any of those other mobile phone photographers, or were they traditional photographers?
Among my friends, my colleagues, Sion Fiuna, Misho Barafic, Greg Schmiegel, but conventional photographers, you know, there are too many to name. I've been looking at images for a long time, but I'm really drawn to the American photographers of the 50s and the 60s, and the whole kind of beat, poets, arts, American Expressionism, that art period, particularly in New York, but in the Americas during that time. I think it's intuitive. I didn't start out being influenced by them, but I'm drawn to them.
You mean like the Coney Island pictures?
Yeah, a lot of that stuff. I'm an immigrant, so some of what I like, my subjects I'm interested in, have to do with what is this America? So I've been taking, one thing I'm known for is car photos, old car photos. That's the book project that I worked on this summer called Dream Car. They're all 70s, 60s cars, and it's a somber look at them, but they kind of remind me of artifacts of something that doesn't exist anymore, a different kind of an American, and they're always in kind of contrast with, there they are on our streets. So Seattle has a lot of old cars that people drive, not fancy ones. I think because we don't have salt on our roads here or something, but that's kind of my obsession, is take these pictures of these old cars.
Now, Star, when you print these out, I mean, how big can you print something for mobile?
Even with my 3GS, that's old, it's got a very poor exposure meter, but at my exhibit, they were 9x12s, framed in a 16x20 matte and frame, and they looked pretty good then. It depends on what the app was that you shot in, or that you use to do post-processing and whether you're saving at full resolution, and a lot of people don't pay attention to that. They end up with a great image that they're showing on Instagram or they're showing on Google Plus or something. They go to print it and realize the resolution's too small, which is sad. So you always want to save at full res. But about 9 by 6, and I had one that was 17 by 25 or something like that, and they looked great. But that's another plus of using black and white because the grain becomes incorporated into the style.
Are you
Do you ever have people approaching you? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just wondering if are you sharing the photos as you go, or are you just saving them and then dealing with them later? So are you using a photo sharing app?
Like out on the road, you mean? Like when I'm walking around?
Like as you're making them?
No, I don't share. If I saw you on the street and took a picture of you, I would not immediately process and then upload. Some people do that. I'm still a film-oriented person, so I take a whole bunch of shots for a day and then come home in the evening and sit down and edit and go through the roll and see what I'm going to keep, what I'm not going to keep, and then decide to share from there. Other people do it all in about 5 minutes, and they'll share from wherever they're at. I can't get into it like that. I think those are two different processes. I'm more interested in taking photographs, not so much interested in apping or processing. Mm-hmm. There's one of the car photos, yeah.
So I was wondering if people approach you sometimes to get, like, do people say, come bring your camera to my party?
They used to before I was doing my iPhone. I still get asked, just like you were asked, can you come to this 85th birthday party for Grandma and bring your camera and take some photos, and people try to squeeze that kind of stuff in there. But people that know me know what I'm doing with my phone. But otherwise, I kind of just look like a goofball on the street obsessing over text messaging. So you can't really tell if you're text messaging or if you're taking a photograph. And
just don't get hit by a car.
Yeah, if you get hit by a car, or walk into a fountain.
Now, do you think you're going to stick with mobile only for a while, or do you have any desire to shoot higher resolution stuff with DSLRs, or?
I think that's part of the step of getting my little Ryko is to experiment with the digital. See what I like. For the last year, I often take my phone when I go on a purposeful photo walk. I'll take my phone, and I've been taking a film camera, and I'll take the same shot with both. What I found out is that it's not just the phone has changed the way I compose an image and my relationship to my subject in the field. And so I really like that experience. So I'm kind of paying attention to how that's going to translate using a more conventional digital camera. And I don't know how much of it's going to translate because it's very pleasurable using my phone out to take photographs. It's something about the draw. There's no mechanical barrier. It's very simple, but it has limitations. You can't use it for indoor photography as well. It has very limited exposure control, if any. But I'll have to see how it goes this next kind of 6 months and see if it's something that I like using a regular digital camera.
Do you use lens attachments? Sorry.
What's that?
Lens attachments. Do you use them?
No, some of them are really funky though. When you start this is me, when I start buying attachments and Steadicams and big lenses that are larger than my phone, then I might as well get a camera, right? Because the whole point of my phone, my handheld device, is that it just slips into a bag or slips into my pocket and it doesn't look like a camera. I find, just me personally, it seems incongruent to put all that stuff on top of my camera.
So Star, I'm looking at a picture of yours which is called Fleeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just curious how you achieve that because it's a locked off shot and you've got somebody really blurred coming through the screen.
So which one is it called?
Fleeting. Fleeting.
Let's see.
I just wondered how.
You could share your screen if you want, Sam. If you want people to see.
Yeah, you can share it. That'll be easier.
How do I?
Screen share in the upper left of your chat window, or the Hangout window, I mean.
Okay. Can you see my screen? No. Oh, yeah. This one.
There we go.
Oh, okay. Where is it there? So this is not app. This is me holding. Oh, some of these. Sometimes you can use the app to create blur, but I was just holding the phone fixed focused on the wall behind her, and she walked by. So it's serendipity. Partly serendipity.
So were you actually controlling how long the shutter was open for? Can you do that with an iPhone?
You can lock your focus on that banister behind there, and then she walked by, and I believe that I kept my phone very still, and she just came by, and it was blurred.
Oh. Wow. Good.
And then this is the post-processing on these is it just goes through the film emulation. I think it's like an Ilford, it's like Ilford 100. It simulates that, and then I have there's an app that simulates bleaching, and so it goes through that because I like it to be really dark black. If there's anything black.
Star, speaking of apps, what are your favorite apps that you use for photography on the iPhone?
Pro Camera, because it has independent exposure and independent focus controls, and you can lock exposure. So you can take and use your finger and pull exposure over here and focus over here. And then you can lock the exposure. So I like that one. It helps work with light, especially color, if it's going to stay in color. And the Film Labs, because it has something like 200 films that it emulates. So it has you can control blur. And PhotoFX, which is like just a general post-processing that is couple clicks, or you can fine-tune and actually do gradations of changes. So those are it. I'm on the realism side of mobile photography and not on the expressive, heavy apping and all that color. I'm not very good at that. I don't like to spend.
And so you mentioned bringing your photos home and processing them. What do you use to do that?
It's all on the phone.
Okay.
Everything's on the phone, and at the end of the week, I just back them up to my iMac.
Okay, so you're not doing anything with them on your computer?
Not a thing.
Wow.
It's all on the phone. So those apps that I just mentioned, they're all on my phone.
Okay.
And there's a Flickr Pro, I think I use, and that sends ones I really like to Flickr because I like that. I'm still on Flickr.
Oh yeah, I have that app. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, it's a really good one, and it's easy to stay in touch with people on that one. So yeah, it's all on the phone. No processing on the computer. I only spend. I want to spend less than 5 minutes doing this processing business. I really, really like taking photographs and not editing and processing.
Because you have a day job, right?
Yeah, I teach college writing. That's what I do. Half-time that and half-time photography.
Nice.
Now, what kind of response do you get from people out in the field with an iPhone taking photos of them? Like you're doing street photography, a lot of that. Do they respond to you?
Nothing.
How do they?
I've had in like almost 2.5, 3 years, I had one person walking towards me who said no photos, and that was it. I seriously think that I look like I'm madly texting away when I.
So,
I guess if you looked like an old creep, you would get a lot of those. But you look like harmless.
Yeah, I think the key to street photography is be quick about it. Like everybody has their own technique. I don't sit in a picturesque setting and wait for people to cross. That's too boring for me. But I usually just walk myself, so I'm moving too, and that helps with getting unusual effects like the blur. That the camera, meaning I'm moving, the subject's moving, and usually the background is still. And be quick about it and move on. Lingering and doing the crazy iPhone, this is me taking a photo. You can't do any of those things. You just learn how to take a photo with one hand and be quick about it. Don't get in people's face. You're just being like a nice lady. You're just a nice person moving along.
now, are you familiar with the book of photographs that Walker Evans made in the subway? Of subway passengers. He made a wonderful book of images where he had a hidden camera inside his coat, and he took pictures, wonderful pictures of people in the subway in New York, years and years ago, of course. And one of the things I was thinking about writing Bart the other day, I was taking some pictures of some of the people in there, and you're right. I mean, people they're so accustomed to us looking at our phones that they have no idea what's on the screen, whether it's a camera or a web page or whatever.
I can usually tell whether someone's pointing it at you because it looks they're tilting it differently towards you.
Well, Petra, that's just because everybody wants to take pictures of you.
You can't. I can't win with you. Okay, I'm not saying.
I'm kidding. I'm teasing. No, but yeah, I've taken a number of portraits now in the subway, on BART, and I'm fairly confident that these people have no idea that I'm taking their photograph.
I think I've taken every kind of camera out to do street photography. I took my big Holga, just my plastic Holga, and took street photos. No one said anything about that, didn't look twice, didn't seem to care. And I don't know if it's a reflection of we're in our own spaces sometimes, or images and capturing and photography is so ubiquitous that people aren't paying attention.
And maybe they just want that.
Yeah. And then there are people that are out who are drawing attention to themselves too. So they want that.
I think too, it's the energy that you put out when you're shooting. I think people can kind of tell what your objectives are depending on how you carry yourself. And I think I shoot a lot of times with a Hasselblad with a waist level finder, so I have to look down through it. And even though it's a bigger camera and people know that I'm a photographer, there's this novelty of seeing someone use that piece of equipment that actually is engaging for them. Mm-hmm. Whereas if I'm using a Leica sometimes and it's smaller, or an SLR, sometimes it just puts out a different feeling, and I think that the energy you put out is a big part of it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So is Lotus getting censored in the chat room? Is that what I'm seeing going on in there?
No.
What do you?
Not anymore. No, links were turned off for some reason, but
they're back.
You always expect the best of me, don't you?
I thought that was just typical Lotus's typical word of the day.
I only got kicked off of Twit once.
Yeah, she did get in a fight with the Twit folks, didn't you?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
I want to hear more about that.
Now, Star, where do you find the cars? Is it just walking around?
They're just walking around. Probably the majority of them have been within about 2 miles of where I live. They're just everywhere. And once I didn't start out to kind of collect these photographs, I just started noticing them, started taking them, and the more you notice, the more you notice. And they're not hard to find here in Seattle in all kinds of conditions, but I prefer the ones that are not restored. They've got to look like, they're mostly stock. They look like what they used to look like, and people are still driving them to school or work or wherever.
Yeah, those are nice. Now, mostly you shoot in Seattle. Do you travel a lot? Do you take pictures elsewhere?
No, mostly it's just been concentrated in Seattle. I think there are a few images that I've shared that were from Portland. But it's mostly kind of me documenting a certain Seattle. It's the one that I maybe remembered when I was a kid. That's what emerges. It's stuck in a little time period that's interesting. It's a little older looking.
Do you shoot every day?
Pretty much, yeah. Almost every day.
Do you ever take the vanity shots when you flip the camera at yourself?
Self-portraits, I do every once in a while get interested in how to, because I have my old phone and it doesn't have a double-sided, it doesn't have a camera on both sides, so yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do a good self-portrait that way. The one that's on my Google, my avatar is done that way. That's an iPhone shot that was a selfie.
I was just looking at that.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of upgrading your phone anytime soon? Looking for the better optics?
I just have been putting it off because I like the lo-fi, soft, grungy look of my.
Oh, that's awesome.
Bad exposure meter is what does that. Bad exposure meter and the combo of Seattle overcast light in the wintertime has a certain look that I really like, and I don't know if I want to not use it anymore.
That's hilarious. Hang on to that old phone.
Yeah.
I still have the 3GS as well, but I'm ready for the 5.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Yeah, and then I didn't want to get the 4S because I have in my mind that that's a middle upgrade, and you know, I mean, branding's everything, and I'm like, I gotta wait for the 5. It'll be a real upgrade.
Yeah.
Well, Star, I think it's
you iPhone people.
I think your work is an absolute testament to the fact that it's the photographer and not necessarily the camera. Although I think your camera actually, the camera that you've chosen to use, has a positive effect on your work with the lo-fi feel of it and all. But I think it just goes to show you that these days, I mean, so many people feel that they have to have the latest, Nikon D800 or Canon 5D Mark III, and really you don't. You don't have to spend a lot of money. A photographer can take great photographs and make wonderful pictures with so many tools. And I think you're an absolute testament to that. I mean, these photos that you take are wonderful, and so much of it's just finding the subject, finding the right thing to shoot.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that there's always these nice debates that people have on what's a real camera, what's not. I think it's the right tool for the right person at the right time. And it has to all work for what your vision is as a photographer or an observer, and find the right tool for you. And there was something that just clicked with me and my iPhone.
Okay, well, I know we have some questions from the chat room. This is about all we have time for tonight for the show. So we are all going to come right back. We're going to take some more questions with the amazing Star Rush and her wonderful photographs. We'll look at some more. We'll talk about some more. Everybody hang on to vidcast. Keith will have the broadcast right back up. If you're watching on my stream, refresh it, and we'll have another broadcast for you here in a few seconds. And before we do that, though, we do have to do one thing, which is we have to give away the 1-year Pro of SmugMug and a Blur book.
Hey, Thomas,
ready?
You're still sharing your desktop.
I am. I should change that. Are we ready in the chat room? Do we have a winner? So, how we're going to do this tonight is I am going to start giving clues about a famous photographer. And whoever gets the answer first, the correct answer that I'm thinking of, and I'll keep giving clues until somebody does, hopefully, they will win the free SmugMug and the Blur book. So let's start with he rides a bicycle. Rides a bicycle. Any guesses yet? Not yet? Okay. He is a photographer for the New York Times. For the New York Times. Okay.
I know it.
Of course you do. He photographs fashion. He is a...
There we go. Somebody got it.
Who got it? I don't see it yet.
Brad Sloan.
Did Brad get it? Brad Sloan got it. He did. Did Brad Sloan get it? Yep. Bill Cunningham. Yes, he did. Brad got it. Okay, so Brad Sloan wins tonight. Bill Cunningham, who, if you have not seen the documentary about him, which is a wonderful documentary that was made, I guess, just a couple of years ago, Bill Cunningham, New York. It's a wonderful documentary. He's a terrific photographer. He sees fashion on the street in a unique way, and I love seeing these big, rich documentaries made about great photographers. So, has anyone seen the documentary?
I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's such a great story, and the guy is such a great character. Fantastic.
He really is.
Is that on Netflix or something?
It's on Netflix Watch Now, so you can watch it Watch Now on Netflix. Bill Cunningham, New York. He's such a vibrant spirit. Bill, what I got out of the documentary that I saw was just that he is so not concerned with money or financial success. He's so concerned with the art of what he's doing.
What is it called? Documentary?
The documentary is called Bill Cunningham, New York, or New York Bill Cunningham. Yeah, Bill Cunningham, New York.
Okay.
And it is a wonderful documentary. So, Brad, you know how to get in touch with us, of course. So let us know, and we'll get you the, I guess, the coupon code for Blurb, or arrange for the Blurb book and the 1-year free pro of Smug Mug. Thank you, Brad Sloan.
Way to go, Brad.
Another great photographer on Google+. So, and with that, we are going to say goodbye, and we will be back shortly, right back in a couple minutes. So thank you, everybody, to our wonderful guest star, and to all of our great panelists. We'll see you all next week, next Wednesday night.
Hi.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.